Greetings. Vijñāna-bhairava-tantra, verse 92, Yukti number 67, boundless sky. Recording this video live in Wallis, so there might be some background noises. Let's dive straight into the verse. Vyomākāraṃ svamātmānaṃ. Sorry, let me start again. Vyomākāraṃ svamātmānaṃ dhyāyed digbhir anāvṛtam nirāśrayā citiḥ svarūpaṃ darśayet tadā. Meditate on the nature of the sky, unbounded and unconcealed in all directions, as identical to the nature of one's own being. Then the power of awareness, which, like the sky, needs no external support, reveals your true nature. Okay, so I like this verse a lot. It is yet another verse on the sky or space as an analogy to one's true nature. So there are quite a few verses like this in the VBT, and I think this might be the last one. We've had quite a few before. So let's check it out. Dhyāyed. One may meditate, or one could meditate, or one should meditate. On what? Vyomākāraṃ, the nature of the sky, the formless form of the sky, which is anāvṛtam, unbounded and unconcealed by its very nature. One should meditate on that as svamātmānaṃ, as one's very own self, as one's very own nature. So the first line, vyomākāraṃ svamātmānaṃ dhyāyed digbhir anāvṛtam. Meditate on the sky, the nature of the sky, unbounded and unconcealed in all directions, digbhir, as one's very own self, or as analogous to one's very own true nature. So here we see the word atman being used not in the sense of some self as entity, right, but rather as just a synonym of svabhava, as one's own true nature. So we don't have the disagreement with Buddhist doctrine that would be apparent if we overly reify the term atman. In this text, atman just means that which is your real nature, your fundamental nature. Okay, so meditate on the nature of sky, unbounded and unconcealed in all directions, as identical to one's own being, or as one's own nature. Then the power of awareness, citiḥ, which, like the sky, needs no external support, nirāśrayā, reveals, darśayet, or may reveal, darśayet, one's true form, or true nature, svarūpaṃ. Okay, so the key word here then, or one of the key words, is nirāśrayā. This citiḥ, this power of awareness, is said to be nirāśrayā, which means it requires nothing outside of itself, and it rests on no other support. So the analogy that's given in the tradition is the light of the sun. The sun illuminates all things that we can see, right? Even when we turn on an electric light, that's electricity is coming from burning stored solar energy or extracting solar energy, whether it's coal or solar panels. electric light is nothing but delayed sunlight. So the sun is that by virtue of which all things become visible, in our solar system anyway. But the sun does not require another light source to illuminate it. It is swaprakasha, it is self-luminous. So in the very same way, the sun illuminates all things and yet is also self-luminous. Chitti Shakti, the power of awareness, requires nothing to illuminate it. It is self-luminous, meaning to say, the power of awareness is the power by which we are aware of anything, whatever we're aware of. But it also has the power to illuminate itself. You can become aware of awareness. So Chitti Shakti is, in that sense, exactly like the sun. It doesn't require another knower, right? Then we would have a problem of infinite regress. If you required another power of knowing to know the first one, then you would require yet another one, and so on to infinity. So Chitti Shakti is the power by which we can become aware of all things, and includes within itself a power of self-awareness, which is called vimarsha in the tradition. You can sit and contemplate awareness itself, and that, of course, is nothing but awareness contemplating awareness, awareness contemplating itself. And we go over this in the Foundations of Tantric Yoga course. Many of you are enrolled in that. I hope all of you enroll in that course, because it's now the foundational offering from myself and from Tantrika Institute. So this becoming aware of the power of awareness is a crucial teaching within the tradition. So by that contemplation, by awareness contemplating its own nature as open and vast and spacious, it realizes that it is not only self-luminous but self-supporting. It requires nothing outside of itself. Now, if you realize that this Chitti Shakti, or power of awareness, is you, is what you innately are, that you're nothing but that, actually, then you directly realize that you require nothing outside of yourself, right? Which is not, let's not misinterpret that teaching, right? It doesn't mean you don't have social needs or physical needs or whatever, but in your innate being, you require nothing outside yourself. That is to say, you can realize what you are and repose in the bliss of your own existence as an innate function of that power of awareness that you are. And it's inbuilt. It's inbuilt that awareness can realize itself, can wake up to itself. Right? And then when you fully wake up to yourself, what were previously needs become values. Right? Because if you only think you're this body-mind, you have lots of needs, and you need those things to be happy or to have some convincing facsimile of happiness. But if you realize that you are awareness itself, manifesting a body-mind as part of its experience, then you still have values, like you value connection and companionship and nourishment. But you don't need any of those things to be what you already are and to experience the innate joy of your own existence. So the tradition teaches, test it in your own experience. So let's see then exactly what we're being invited to with this particular practice. Yukti number 67. Oh, and please note, I had the numbering wrong, I believe, in the previous video. But anyway, this is Yukti number 67 now. Or do I have the numbering wrong now? Maybe it's 68. Well, gosh, I'm going to have to double check and get it right in the notes here. Point is, what are we being invited to here? Well, here's the practice. Before we had sky gazing. So this is distinct from sky gazing, because in that earlier practice that was already covered in the text, you literally just look at the sky and become sort of divinely lost in contemplation of the sky. But here you're contemplating the nature of the sky. So this is the first practice of the contemplative practices section of the text, which goes up to verse 110. So you don't even need to be able to see the sky to do this practice. That's part of what distinguishes it from the earlier sky-gazing practice. It might be nice, it might be helpful if you can see the sky, but you're not. It's not a visual, right? The previous one was an open-eyed meditation without moving your head or your eyes. You're really absorbing yourself in the visual of the sky. And here you're contemplating its nature as being anāvṛtam, unbounded, and unconcealed. That, in other words, you're contemplating, for example, that clouds, however many clouds there are in the sky, they don't actually alter the nature of the sky. They don't compromise or change the nature of the sky. All this weather, including even tornadoes and hurricanes, can move through the sky, and the sky remains perfectly itself. So this is a metaphor that many modern spiritual teachers use as well, the sky versus the weather. And they say all your thoughts and feelings are like the weather moving through the sky, but you are the sky, open, boundless, untainted, unstained by all the manifestations within the sky. So, what a great contemplation, especially in challenging times. In challenging times, you experience fear and confusion and frustration and many other emotions arising, right? And all of that can be very disturbing unless you're deeply connected to your true nature, in which you are the sky of awareness within which all of those manifestations are taking place. And if we contemplate the nature of the sky, it literally holds space for all the possible manifestations. You notice the sky does not inhibit certain patterns of weather. The sky doesn't inhibit the storms. The sky holds space for the storms, and the sky holds space for the sunshine as well, equally. So this contemplation of the nature of the sky can go very, very deep. It's a wonderful contemplation. So I invite you to contemplate all aspects of the sky, because we're told here in this very verse that every aspect of the sky, this is the compound vyomākāraṃ. So it doesn't just say sky, it says each and every aspect of the sky. The nature of the sky mirrors to us our own true nature. So the sky is a perfect mirror in this teaching to our true nature. So you can try it right now. You can contemplate that whatever thoughts and feelings you're aware of, whatever thoughts and feelings are there, you are that power of awareness within which everything is arising and subsiding. If you get the taste of it, it's immediately calming and soothing. And notice this sky-like nature of awareness. It includes the willingness to hold space for whatever needs to arise. This is very much true. The teaching in this verse, in my experience and that of countless others, is very much literally true. Just as the sky holds space for every form of weather that manifests within it, you and your real nature are always already able to hold space for everything that arises. Now, this doesn't appear to be true when you picture yourself as your mind, when you believe consciously or subconsciously that you are your mind. Then it doesn't seem to be the case that you can hold space for whatever needs to arise within you, right? But that's because when you identify with the mind, then you simulate the state of being the mind. You seemingly contract into the form of the mind, or the heart mind, we could say, the locus of thoughts and emotions. You're not really doing so, but it seems as if you're doing so, and it can seem that way quite powerfully. So as long as you experience yourself to be the thinker of your thoughts and the feeler of your feelings, then you might not glimpse this innate capacity that you have to hold space beautifully and openly for everything that arises. So I invite you right now to relinquish this identification. See if you can just do it for a moment. Let go of the idea that you are the thinker of your thoughts, or that you are the sort of being that needs to control or handle anything that's arising. Right? People say, how do I handle these feelings? And they're asking the wrong question. You don't handle them. You don't need to handle them. That's the mind trying to control itself. So instead of trying to handle your feelings, simply breathe and drop into your already existent true nature, which, sky-like, holds space for all that's arising and subsiding in every single moment. It's so beautiful, this capacity of yours. And everyone has this capacity. It just might be harder to access it for some. But just give it a try. Just breathe and open into that which you already are. Become the sky-like mind, right? Or the sky-like power of awareness, that is. Right? So the Buddhists actually call it mind, which is confusing. They say true nature of mind, right? But they're referring to the same thing that we call awareness. Okay? It has precisely the same referent. So it doesn't matter what words you use. We're talking about your innate capacity to be open to the arising of all that arises and the subsiding of all that subsides. And you notice as you, little by little, right now, breathe and become the sky of awareness. You notice there's this willingness, not only a capacity, but a willingness to allow the arising of whatever arises, including even fear and confusion and frustration. That's okay, that can be there, that's allowed to be. But it doesn't need to disturb you, and it can't disturb you in your real nature. Just allow the arising of whatever arises, and allow the subsiding of whatever subsides. There's really no problem. And if the mind wants to believe there's a problem, that can be allowed to arise as well. The mind believing that there's a problem is not a problem. So chitti shakti, the power of awareness, is always meta to whatever's occurring. As one of my teachers says, what you truly are never has any problem with what you appear to be in any given moment. Even if what you appear to be is a confused, frustrated, scared, contracted person, what you truly are has no problem with that appearance. So this is the meditation I want to invite you into today and in days to come. Discovering your true nature as like the sky, equally holding space for every moment of sunshine and every moment of storm. Expansive, open, and untouched by all that passes through it. Your true nature is unwoundable. It's untraumatizable. Mind and body are always a little bit traumatized to some degree or another, but your true nature is untraumatizable, and furthermore has no problem with the challenges of embodiment. It's all part of the deal. We signed up for embodiment. It comes with suffering and it comes with joy. Consciousness has no problem with either. Might be hard to realize at first, but discover it in your own experience. Don't take my word for it, please. So let's conclude with reviewing the verse one more time, and then I will see if there's any questions or objections. You feel free to raise objections. That's part of the process of wrestling with the teachings. But first I'll recite it one more time. Vyomākāraṃ svamātmānaṃ dhyāyed digbhir anāvṛtam nirāśrayā citiḥ svarūpaṃ darśayet tadā. One may meditate on the nature of the sky, unbounded and unconcealed in all directions, as identical to one's own being, or identical to the nature of one's own being. Then the power of awareness, citiḥ, which like the sky needs nothing outside itself, reveals your true nature. So that word nirāśrayā reminded me of one more thing to share with you, which is that sometimes we feel disoriented, and feeling disoriented is only a problem if you think you should be oriented. But what you can discover is that awareness doesn't need any orientation beyond itself. You don't need to know anything beyond what knowledge is actually available to you in any given moment. Now that might not seem logically the case to your mind, but it's a teaching in this tradition, right? That you can trust the unfolding of life. You can trust that you don't need to know anything beyond that knowledge which is available to you in any given moment. And yes, of course, avail yourself of whatever knowledge is available to you, if it's true and accurate knowledge. And just trust that you know whatever you need to know the moment you need to know it, and often not a moment sooner. Okay, any comments, questions, concerns, objections, celebrations? Aubrey asks, did the Dzogchenpas get it from the Shaivas or vice versa? Because it's exactly the same teaching. Yes, we do find the same teaching in Dzogchen, which is a Buddhist, a Tibetan Buddhist tradition or lineage, or group of lineages. Who knows? Now this text is probably from the early 800s or the mid 800s. So we need a Buddhist scholar to tell us if Dzogchen has this teaching prior to that, but I really don't think so. I think, of course, Dzogchen, is said to go back to Padmasambhava, but I don't think we can find textual attestation of this teaching in Dzogchen before the year 850, which is the date of the VB. So probably they got it from Shaivas, but I don't know that that's been demonstrated yet. Jacqueline says, thank you for a sweet remembrance at just the right time. Thank you. It was interesting, by the way, to note in myself the effect of the practice on myself just as I'm talking through it, because I sort of ran to do this video from the teacher training I was participating in, and got here just in time to do the video, and so I wasn't totally settled when I started the video, maybe you noticed, and just by exploring the practice with you, that spontaneously happened, as it does. I've done this practice a fair amount, where I realized my own true nature as the boundless sky while talking it through with you, or remembered, I should say, not realized. So there's expression of gratitude, and you all, nice to explore this practice with you, which, yes, indeed, seems quite timely, and I hope you continue to contemplate it in its various dimensions. Please consider all the aspects of the sky and how every single aspect reflects something to you about your true nature. And please post about it in the group and in the comments on YouTube as well, if you're seeing this there. Om. Love to all of you. Stay safe and stay happy. It's totally possible in challenging times, and don't feel bad about exercising your capacity to be happy, even though others might be in a different state, right? You don't help them by not being happy. Om.